This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On Air.
Welcome to Around the World in 80 Minutes, a podcast series based on the book Around the World in 80 Years with Julie Woods, that's me, illustrated by Ron Esplin, that's you.
Thank you.
In these 8-10-minute episodes, we are going to cover the 80 countries that adventurer and artist Ron Esplin visited by the time he was 80. Ron, we've reached your sixth decade, which is 1995 to 2004. You had graduated from the University of Otago by that time with your Bachelor of Commerce. In 1995, you closed the doors of Brian Snell. You became a Dunedin City Councillor, began taking painting seriously, and in this decade, you ran 5 Kepler Challenges, which is quite a feat. What is the illustration for this podcast, please?
It's the University of Otago, the clock tower. It's one of the major buildings in Dunedin, and of course is the centre of education, which is one of our major exports, I should say, or imports.
And you visited 2 countries in this decade. What are they, please?
They were the Cook Islands and Malaysia.
Let's just quickly go back to your graduation. You graduated with a Bachelor of Commerce majoring in marketing. You returned for the second time. That was a much more positive experience.
Yes, it was. I was very clear about where I was going. I was in my 50s by this time, and the education had a purpose. It was in order to run a business more efficiently. So Bachelor of Commerce was the right thing to do. I have to say, though, that a young man who was a salesman used to come into the Brian Snell's, and he had a suit on. I said, "Where are you going?" He said, "Well, I'm actually going to university. I'm doing a commerce degree." And I said, "Oh gosh, I never did mine." And he said, "Well, I'll just go part-time." I thought, that's what I'll do. So I enrolled to go part-time at the Otago University to do my commerce degree. It was many years later that I actually bumped into that guy, and he was down it would just happen to be in the same street in Dunedin, but this was quite a few years later. And I said, "Oh," he said, I've got a debt of gratitude that I owe you." He said, "Why is that?" He said, "Well, you were attending university and doing a part-time degree. Well, I followed up with you, and I've just graduated, and I'm grateful to you for that." He said, "Oh, I never finished mine."
Good way to end a sentence, isn't it? Your 2 countries were the Cook Islands and Malaysia. What appealed about the Cook Islands? Well,
what happened was my eldest daughter, or our eldest daughter, had gone to university in America. Our second daughter, Nicole, had gone to America as well. She was in Canada, actually, pursuing the synchronized swimming. She was there for a few years, and that's what allowed her eventually to compete in the Commonwealth Games. So we only had the 2 youngest ones at home. And I felt a bit sorry for them in that these other 2 were doing all the travelling. So one holidays, they were advertising holidays for children overseas. You know, take your family away overseas. And Bali was, Cook Islands was one of them, Rarotonga. And so I went to the flight place and said, I want to buy a couple of tickets for my wife and I and for 2 girls. And they said, oh, they're all sold. This is for the school holidays. I said, well, put my name down anyway, because my daughters are baying up my heels after I stupidly saw an advertisement and then said, oh, I think we should go there. And cut a long story short, indeed, 2 sufficient seats turned up, and they rang me, and we went to the Cook Islands, and they had a lovely time.
It would be a formative experience for them. As you say, they hadn't been to another country. What do you think their impressions were? Well,
they were about 15 or thereabouts, and they loved the swimming, of course, because they were keen swimmers. And we went with a lot of swimming in Rarotonga. And we had some unusual experiences. A German guy and his his fiancée decided they were going to get married. They didn't have any family except for one son in the island at that time, and so they just invited everybody who was around, and so we went to the wedding. That was a really amazing thing to do.
That's lovely. 1998 saw your daughter Nicole participate in the Commonwealth Games in Kuala Lumpur, and you went as a family. That must have been an amazing experience.
It was an amazing experience, and we had another friend who was also acting as coach for Nicole, and so she came with us as well as their family, and so it was a lovely thing to do. We had 2 families, and we trekked around Kuala Lumpur. It was a wonderful place, beautiful city. Of course, they realised the Commonwealth Games was a big opportunity for them to sell the country as a tourism destination, and so they had increased the capacity of the rail system and prettied the country up, the city up, for an influx of tourists.
And how did Nicole get on in the games?
Well, she was up against the Canadians. She'd been to Canada because of course, there were wonderful performers over there. It was almost a national sport in Canada, so she's very lucky that she earned a place as a New Zealander, and she came 6th, which we were really proud of.
Great experience and opportunity for everybody. We talked earlier before about your 5 Kepler challenges. Why?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I did say I got a bit overweight, but well, to be honest, every time you run the Kepler challenge, you get a medal. Now, that's a huge incentive, and I have 5 Kepler challenge medals.
So you like the shiny objects.
One of them is a 5-year medal, I'll say.
Yeah, no, that's very impressive. And for the people who aren't aware of the Kepler track, how would you describe it? Is it 67 kilometres?
Yes, that's right, yeah. And I got slower and slower as the years went by. The first one was 7.5 hours, which was a pretty difficult thing to achieve more than once. And I actually, when you enter, you have to tell them what your training program has been. They won't take you unless they feel there's been sufficient training. But my dear friend who ran it 13 times, Chris Robertson, he, when they said, what training have you done? He said, doing deep knee bends with all my medals around my neck.
And you could almost say the same.
Yeah, well, that's right, I could too. It was great to line up with all the 5-year medalists, I must say. It was good.
And you used to run when you travelled?
Yes, I did, and that was another wonderful thing to do. Sometimes it was a dangerous thing to do. I didn't realise it was it could be. In Los Angeles, once I went for a run outside, and the doorman saw me coming in. He said, "Where have you been?" And I think he was a bit worried that I hadn't been mugged. Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. We're glad that you weren't mugged and that you arrived back. Your country count to this date, Ron, is 44. You've been listening to Around the World in 80 Minutes with Julie Woods and Ron Esplin. If you would like to contact Ron, you can send him an email to ronesplinartist@gmail.com. Phone or text him on 021 358 082. You have been listening to podcast 6 of 8. Look forward to having you back here for podcast 7. I'm that blind woman, Julie Woods, proud sponsor of Around the World in 80 Minutes. After going blind in 1997, I said why not so many times. I am now a professional speaker, author, advocate and coach. If you're looking for someone to help you or your team turn your no into why not, then why not send me an email to julie@thatblindwoman.co.nz or phone or call me on 021 913 513. Why not?
This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.